Hello, how are you doing today? I hope you're having a wonderful day. Have you ever looked at your property tax bill and wondered what in the world is an SID? Why are they charging me this fee and what do they even do? You're not alone. SID fees can feel like one of those mysterious line items that no one really explains, but they can seriously impact your bottom line as a homeowner or a potential buyer of property. So today we're unpacking what suburban improvement districts are, how they work and what they cover, and most importantly, how they affect you in places like Cherokee Village, Horseshoe Bend, and surrounding areas. So let's get started. SID stands for Suburban Improvement District, and it's a special taxing district formed to fund and maintain public improvements within a designated area. We're talking streets, drainage systems, golf courses, lakes, community centers, things like that. So the SID kind of operates like a mini government, but it's not a city or a county. It's a separate legal entity formed under Arkansas law and that has authority to levy fees or assessments to pay for improvements, often over dozens of years. So even if the road was paved 20 years ago, you may still be paying for it. So the SID in Cherokee Village and Horseshoe Bend and Ozark Acres, those are the ones I'm most familiar with, were originally designed to cover the whole community, because like Cherokee Village was not a city until much later, almost 50 years after it started. So the Suburban Improvement District did everything, but once they became a city, they kind of divided stuff up. But SID was created to take care of the lakes and the golf courses and the community centers to help maintain those amenities so the property owners had access to them, but they weren't covered under voting privileges. The assessments were just decided by the SID, and the people who decided on those assessments were not nominated. But that changed later. SID fees can cover a wide range of services and infrastructure. And many communities, especially planned developments like Cherokee Village, that includes road maintenance, street lighting, drainage system, even amenities like the parks, the trails, the golf courses, community centers. Now, some SIDs will continue to operate and maintain the improvements even after the initial debt is paid off. So the fees might not go away entirely, and that's why it's important to know whether your SID is just repaying construction costs or actively managing services. And that was what was confusing for a long time in Cherokee Village. Nobody really knew what they were paying for the SID for. I always say that it's for maintaining the golf courses and the lakes, but there's nothing that actually says that's what that's for. So it's not been very clear for a long time. Thankfully, recently that we have cleared that up a little bit. So SID assessments usually show up on your annual property tax statement. So if when you get your bill from the county, it's gonna have the ad valorem, which is the county tax, and then it'll be a separate line item that has SID. Now, previously in Horseshoe Bend, there's SID and MRID, but they don't have those anymore. So it's not calculated the same way as property taxes. It's based on your lot size in some areas and not your home's market value. It doesn't depend on the improvements of the land. It's based on the land, because even if you don't have a house on a lot, you're still going to pay those SID assessments. Some areas assess a flat fee for each lot, while others scale it based on the acreage or the lot frontage. And unlike those HOA dues that you can sometimes see, which you pay directly to the association, SID fees are collected by the county and enforced just like a regular tax. So that means unpaid SID fees can lead you to a tax sale. If you don't continue to pay those, they go into foreclosure. And if you pay, say, your county taxes, but you don't pay your SID taxes, you can still be foreclosed upon. So you have to make sure, if you just paid your whole tax bill, then your SID fees are going to be taken care of. You don't have to worry about it. But if for some reason your tax bill didn't get to you and you didn't pay it, then it could definitely go back. Arkansas is pretty lenient, I would say. It takes up to 3 years for your property to go back for taxes. Like, you have to do 3 full years of non-payment, and then it will go to the tax sale. So even if it's homes, so they're pretty lenient about that. So if you can at least pay your taxes every other year, you would be fine. But I wouldn't recommend that because they can change that. So the SID fees used to be many years ago that they were based on the front footage. So every lot was slightly different. It was about $125, $130 for every lot in Cherokee Village. That's how they decided that it was. But there was a lawsuit recently where an individual, a homeowner in Cherokee Village, started a lawsuit, but it included all of the homeowners in Cherokee Village together. And they had recently, SID had recently reassessed the amenities in Cherokee Village to decide how much they were worth, and so then could then decide how much to charge for the access to those amenities through the SID assessment. Well, through that lawsuit, many things happened. One, it was required that the people that decided the assessment each year were nominated. So it went from 3 selected people that were not nominated to 5 nominated people with a director. So those 5 people have been nominated for a few years now, and they decide how much the assessment is going to be every year. But there's two parts to that. They can do, each year they can do the assessment, I think it's between 6 and 10% they can do every year on what is actually due. But the amount of the assessment for each lot goes reflected in that lawsuit. They changed it now so that if you have an interior lot, it's based off the assessment. Most interior lots in Cherokee Village are valued by the county at $2,500. So it's 36% of the $2,500, which in most cases is $900. I think I said that right. And so then if they decide that the assessment for the year, for that tax year is 10%, your tax is going to be $90. But the SID commissioners could decide that it's less every year. So the most it could be for an interior lot is $90. If it's a lakefront lot or a golf front lot, it can max out at $740. So that would be an assessment of $7,400. That's the absolute most you can pay for SID on one lot in Cherokee Village. If it's a lake view or golf view lot or across the street, then it can be up to $340. Again, it's based on the assessment of your lot. There are some lots that are, for some reason, assessed at $2,000 instead of $2,500. So it could be as low as $75, but the majority of lots in Cherokee Village are $900, which in most cases equates to $90 a year on your SID. They have made it so you can pay 10 years ahead if you want to. Some people went ahead and paid that. They got their bill and they charged them for 10 years. But that gives people the impression that in 10 years they won't have to pay any more SID. But that's not what that means. They can do another appraisal and another reassessment of those amenities and then decide how much it's going to be for every year after that. So it is still a lot of confusing. I can tell you what it is right now, but it could easily change just like any other law, just like any other government regulation. But that's what it is right now. And I know that was a lot of numbers, so just reach out to me if you want some more specifics. It is on your tax bill and it is public information, so you can find it if you want to know on a lot that you're purchasing. It's out there. You can find it and see how much you would be paying if you purchase a lot, and obviously it's on your tax bill if you're a property owner. So let's break it down. On the plus side, you're living in a neighborhood with solid infrastructure that might not have existed with that SID funding. Maybe the roads are smoother, maybe the drainage is better, maybe the amenities are well maintained. But on the downside, you're paying that extra fee that can last for decades. Like I said, this last one is for 10 years. And if you're not aware of it when you buy, it can feel like a big surprise expense, especially if it's that lakefront property for $740. That's going to eat into your budget. That's why it is important to do your homework. It's so important when you're buying. What does this mean? How much is this? Do I have to pay this every month? Is it every year? That SID fee is annual, by the way, not monthly like an HOA. So just be aware that it can be an additional cost. Now, that's still very significantly less than many other areas where there's waterfront and golf-front property. So I still think that it's a very affordable area, but just be aware when you're looking to pay taxes and insurance, it can affect all of that. This is where a lot of people get confused. An SID is not an HOA. They serve completely different purposes. A homeowners association is usually a private organization, and it's made up of the property owners in that specific area. So it does probably have more rules that they're going to enforce. They'll have shared spaces that they contain, and they'll have extra charges. So they're going to have fees and rules. But an SID, on the other hand, is a public entity that exists to fund and maintain the public infrastructure, the golf courses and the lake and the community centers. So you can't opt out of the SID. It's for the whole community. Well, the HOA, you can probably find a subdivision or a section that doesn't have that. Now, in Cherokee Village, in Horseshoe Bend, even in Hardy, there are only specific sections they have the HOA. In the townhouse areas in Cherokee Village and Horseshoe Bend, and on the lake in Hardy is where they have the POA and the HOA. But Cherokee Village and Horseshoe Bend also have the SID. So while the HOA might fine you for your grass being too tall, an SID is more concerned about whether the lake have too much grass in it or has enough fish in it. So some communities can have both. So yes, you could be paying both an SID and an HOA fee, and that is definitely where the townhouses will add up. You have a townhouse fee, you have a sewer fee, you'll have the SID fee, you have county taxes. So it does add up, but you have access to more amenities in the townhouses because you have another community center and you have an indoor and outdoor pool. So you're paying for what you get, and essentially, and there's definitely other communities around here, Highland, Hardy, Ashlet, that don't have the SID fees, but then you don't have access to the amenities. So you got to decide what's important to you. If you're buying, make sure you ask up front, is this property in a suburban improvement district? I'm not sure if this is more common in Arkansas or not, but you are going to want to make sure that you know if there's that additional fee. What is the fee? Is it annual? How long are they expected to last? Are there any plans to increase the assessment? When do they want to do a new reappraisal? Who are the people that are deciding how much we pay? This information should be disclosed, but if you've got to be proactive, you got to be able to ask those questions that are important to your budget. And this applies to sellers too. Being transparent about the SID fees to your buyers can save you time, confusion, and maybe even a deal falling through. So a good realtor will guide you through it, but it never hurts to know what questions to ask. Suburban improvement districts might sound complicated, but they're really just another way to fund infrastructure and make neighborhoods livable and functional. In the community of Cherokee Village, SID and the city work hand in hand to keep everything running smooth. The key is knowing they exist, understanding how they work, and planning for this in your budget. Whether you're already living in the SID, thinking of buying into one, or just trying to make sense of your property tax bill, knowledge is power. So the next time you see that mysterious line item, you'll know exactly what it means and why it's there. So if you found this information helpful, dive in deeper to this video where I talk about no HOA. Thanks for watching and have a blessed day.